Hi, welcome to Video Games Revisited. Today, we're going to be playing Adventure on the Atari 2600. Released in 1979 by Atari, Adventure was the first console action-adventure game, and in this game you take on the role of a nameless hero represented by a small coloured square, and your quest is to find an enchanted chalice that has been hidden by an evil magician, and then return it to a golden castle. First thing you'll notice about Adventure is it's not the most attractive 2600 game to look at, mainly due to the design of the environments you're travelling through, which consist of 2 or 3 colours maximum and are always very blocky and mostly symmetrical. And whilst it would be very easy to chalk these up as negative points for the game, it was necessary for it to be programmed in this way due to the limitations of the Atari 2600 hardware. Along with the very grand title of first action-adventure game on a home console, Adventure has a couple of other firsts under its belt, the most famous being the Easter egg that has the developer's name hidden within the game. However, there is another more important first that is quite often overlooked, and that is that Adventure was the first game to have a whole series of items that the player could select and switch between to perform the necessary tasks to continue in the game, something we take for granted nowadays, which is probably why its place within Adventure is overlooked so frequently. These items consist of swords, keys, a bridge and a magnet, each of which has a specific role in your quest. The swords are used for slaying the various dragons that litter this game, the keys open the gates on the different castles, the bridges can be used to hop over walls. However, the magnets don't really have a set use as far as the progression of the game goes, as they actually just draw any items that are present on the screen towards you, and it would appear these magnets were programmed in to counteract the frequent glitches where you'll find items stuck in walls, meaning you can't complete your quest, which seems like a little bit of a cop-out rather than to just polish out these glitches from the game. However, maybe it wasn't possible to sort out this problem, so the magnet was necessary, or maybe I'm just being overly cynical and the developers just thought it would be a nice touch. But whatever item it is you're using, you can only carry that one item, so it's crucial you plan ahead and remember where you left items, to avoid wandering mindlessly looking for that one item you need, especially considering the majority of the environments in Adventure are essentially mazes, and memorizing the correct route through these mazes that join the castles together is crucial to your success. Along with the traditional mazes, you'll find a series of catacombs that are cloaked in darkness and mean you can only see a limited distance in front of you, and whilst this leads to a frustrating experience initially, it's used very sparingly in this game, so after a couple of minutes bumping into walls and not being entirely sure where you are, you'll memorize a rough route through and be set for the rest of your game. Of course, no adventure game would be complete without some enemies, and when playing Adventure you'll come across several different dragons that vary in their behaviour and levels of aggression. One trait they all do share is that they will attack upon sight, and if they make contact, give you a roar as a warning, and if you don't put distance between them and you quickly enough, they'll swallow you, leaving you trapped in their belly. And whilst you can't escape once swallowed, Adventure has a very basic continue system, and was one of the very first games to implement a feature like this. So you simply hit select game on your console, and you'll find yourself back at the golden castle where you began, with the world and all items set up as they were before you were swallowed. And this is a crucial feature for Adventure, as I don't think it would really be playable without, as you do die quite frequently and it would be so overly frustrating to go through everything all over again just to get caught unawares by a dragon. And this lengthy continued gameplay is of course something we rely upon so heavily today in our adventure games, and I find it fascinating to see one of its earliest incarnations. Along with the dragons, there's also a bat present that isn't an enemy in a traditional sense, as it doesn't hurt you but instead travels around the map, picking up and dropping off items at random, which can either be infuriating or a godsend depending upon what situation you're in. And this bat kind of breathes life into the game, as game modes 1 and 2 on the cartridge are essentially easy mode and the full game, and both have fixed positions for the dragons and items within. So this bat keeps you on your toes and means repeated playthroughs won't be the same experience each time. However, game mode 3 is the full game again, but the item placement is completely random, which might sound like a harmless extra challenge. However, it can result in the game being impossible to complete. For example, if the key to a castle ends up locked inside the castle. So instead of an extra challenge, you're faced with pot luck of the game being either easier, harder, or completely impossible. And I personally think the bat provides us with all the randomness we need on the full game, and the third game mode is somewhat unnecessary. So that's about it for Adventure. As you can see, it's a little bit rough around the edges and far from perfect. However, it's a completely revolutionary game for the time, and what we see as imperfections are actually just the foundations of commonplace features of action-adventure games today. And with this in mind, Adventure is still a very playable and enjoyable game, and one that any fan of the genre should be familiar with. So, that's the end of the review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Take care.